You're listening to the Productive Therapist Podcast, the world's greatest and most brilliant resource for busy therapists who'd rather be laying on a beach in Hawaii. Each episode is packed with simple tips and inspiring insights from the Productive Therapist team to help you grow your practice and have fun doing it. So without further ado, let's help you get more done and have more fun.
Hello, welcome back to the podcast. What some might call the most fun business podcast for therapists. I don't know. Did I write that? Yeah, I did.
I would agree with that. I think that's fair.
It's aspirational as well,
Yeah,
of course.
exactly.
Yeah. Well, Lucy, thanks for joining me again.
No problem. My pleasure.
Yes, we are continuing to record podcasts on our intake podcast series, which is very exciting because we love to talk about it. And we're super happy to share with you the next installment. But just as a reminder, the goal of this podcast series is really just to help you streamline your intake process so you can turn more calls and clicks into clients. That's what we all want. And today we're actually going to be talking about creating a quick response strategy, which I think is a simple but important topic to talk about, right?
Yes, absolutely. If you're not quick enough, the client or the potential client is going to go with another practice, or they're going to lose courage, get busy, and just drop off.
Yeah. And it is actually tricky to provide a quick response, especially for small to medium-sized group practices and even solo practices. So we'll get into the nitty-gritty of that, but I thought it might be kind of fun to talk about positive customer service experiences that you and I have had. And one of the ones that comes to mind, I love these, by the way. I don't know why. I just think when a company or a restaurant or even a freelancer gives a really amazing experience to their clients or customers, it just feels great and it stands out. And I, as a client or a customer, I enjoy it, right? So for about, I don't know, 8 or 9 years, my family's been going to the same chiropractor, and we love our chiropractor, have a very strong connection to this particular business. And the entire time that we've been with them, they've had the same person working the front desk. Nicole, she's fantastic. She's always cheerful, great for conversation. She almost always somehow picks up the phone and like live answers when I call to reschedule. You know, she responds to the emails. And then when we get to the office, we sit down and we always chat with her. She's a local musician and she's just a lovely person. And so that has made my experience, in fact, my whole family's experience of going to the chiropractor just that much better. It's really nice.
That's very, very cool. It is. It's amazing the personal interest. What a difference that can make. I would say it's basically the underlying thing for my story as well. I was thinking of American Express. My husband and I went to Japan last year, which was an amazing, life-changing experience on its own. But we desperately wanted to get into this one particular restaurant, and they had no availability. And one of the perks on our American Express card was they have a kind of concierge service. So you can call in and ask if they can do something to help with certain things. So we called in about that, said, there's no availability. Can you help? And the woman was lovely. She said, leave it with me. So we did. Days went past and we thought, as with most companies, she forgot about it. Someone more important came along. She's not going to follow up on this. And about a week later, she called us back and she said, I've managed to get you a reservation. Will this date and time work for you? And we were like, yes. And it was just incredible that she remembered us. She remembered what we wanted, and she took the time to follow through on it and call us back. So that personal interest, that personal touch it makes such a huge difference, doesn't it?
I didn't know that was a benefit of that
Oh,
card.
yes.
That's really cool.
Yes. American Express are amazing. I know they have some challenges like any company, but their customer service, I've been with them for nearly 20 years and they are incredible.
I have to make a confession to you, Lucy. I'm definitely not, I don't think I'm a bougie person, right? But I love to be a VIP or to be treated like a VIP. For some reason, like that is just the best.
It really is.
I know you love Disney, and I don't know if you've ever been to or heard about the concierge level at the Disney resorts. We have a close family friend who is like always goes and stays on property and upgrades to the concierge level, which means basically they feed you breakfast, lunch, and dinner and you get all kinds of cool benefits, and you get treated like the best of VIPs at Disneyland. And so
Oh,
she
that's
actually snuck
amazing.
us into the concierge lounge the last time, and I was like, this is great.
Did you get all the free drinks? All the free drinks.
We ate all the cheese and crackers we could. Yeah, no, it was great. So
That's very cool. VIP all the way.
yeah, VIP all the way. In your story and my story, there's a human connection. There's a human element to that, right? Um, I mean, I'm perfectly happy when my problem is solved by an AI chatbot, but you feel more connected to people
Mm,
when it's a person delivering that outstanding experience, right?
absolutely.
Yep. Okay, so imagine this scenario. A potential client has been struggling with anxiety for many years, and they finally mustered up the courage to reach out for help. And they go online, they send inquiries to a few different practices in their area. Which practice do you think they're most likely to choose?
The one that responds last. No, just joking.
Exactly.
It's the one that responds first, obviously.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer. And strangely enough, there's never been more options for therapy, like a lot of things in our lives. But it's also never been harder to find the right therapist. And
Yeah.
oftentimes it is the first person to call back, email back, or pick up the phone. And if there's a reasonable connection there between the potential client and the therapist, or the practice for that matter, it's likely that they're going to become a client, right?
I feel like that shows something deeper. If a practice has got it together enough to respond quickly, it shows that they care, they have systems and processes, and they're most likely to be able to help you reach your goal with therapy rather than just having endless therapy.
Definitely. And I always think the person calling or reaching out is never going to be more motivated than that moment,
Exactly.
literally that moment, right? So the sooner you can respond to them and provide a solution, provide a couple options for therapy, pathway for them to get the transformation they want, that's going to be much better. I was talking to a practice owner this week who has a wait list of 1,000 people.
Oh, that's so stressful.
Can you imagine being number 997 on that wait list? Good
I hope
luck.
they don't know they're number
No, of
997.
course.
Goodness.
Yeah. So we were talking about how to prioritize, obviously, people who are calling or reaching out today versus, weeks or months ago, because those people have, they may or may not be motivated at this time. They might have found another solution. So yeah, the concept here is very simple. We want to respond to people as quickly as possible, while keeping in mind, obviously, you know, your own well-being as the therapist, the well-being of your team, and all the other things that matter.
Yeah.
So we're going to talk about a couple solutions for solo practices, and then we'll talk about a couple solutions for group practices. For a solo practice, and I remember back in the day, back in 2008, I had
Wow.
more time than I had money, and I had more time than I had clients. And so
Oh.
easy to just make sure my phone rings and I pick up the phone, right? So if you
Mm.
are new to solo practice, or you just have, availability in your calendar, and you can pick up the phone and talk to people when they actually call, I think that's a great idea.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so simple, yet so few practices do it. And they don't have other options in place for the person if they aren't able to answer the phone. It's such an easy way to lose a client.
There's so many times in the past when I would pick up the phone and, have a nice greeting of some sort, right? And the person would be just so surprised because, they probably called a couple of other practices and left a voicemail, waiting, waiting, waiting. I pick up the phone, and, that's a good bit of surprise and delight to provide for them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Problem with that, of course, is it's not scalable. And
No.
once you get busy, you won't be able to do this.
Yeah. It also becomes expensive if you're having somebody do that for you because you're paying them to basically sit in front of the phone for hours and hours, even if they have nothing to do and the phone doesn't ring. So that can get expensive, but it does work.
Also expensive for you if you're the therapist, who could be making quite a bit of
Yeah.
money providing a session versus answering the phone. Of course, that's the reason why Productive Therapist exists, and we will get into
Oh,
that.
yes. Shameless plug.
I know, right? Yeah, yeah. So the next option is to use an online scheduler. And we have some great resources on this, past podcast episodes and blog posts that we can link in the show notes. But we couldn't be more of a fan of online schedulers
Oh,
than we are, right?
yeah, absolutely. Online scheduling is just, it is a brilliant solution for so many things. I'm sure that you, as a practice owner, have had the experience where, somebody calls in, you or the intake coordinator can't handle the call because you're on another call. You call them right back, but now it isn't a good time for them anymore. Maybe their work break has ended or they're surrounded by people. And so you end up in this vicious cycle of phone tag where you can never get a hold of them. And eventually they either go with another practice or, like we said earlier, they lose courage, they give up on therapy, and you've lost that potential client. So online scheduling solves that for you because the person can book a day and time that they know is going to work for them. They know they're going to speak to a human being. And more often than not, we all know this, a person is going down a list of therapy practices, whether that's one they got from their insurance company or one that they've compiled from the internet. The first person that they actually speak to, as we just said, is likely to be the practice that they go with. So mentally, if they know that they're going to speak to a human being at your practice, that problem tends to be solved for them, at least mentally. And so they stop going down that list because what's the point? They know they're going to speak to a human being at a practice. So online scheduling solves that problem brilliantly. It's also great for you because you can plan your day, or your intake coordinator can plan their day around these scheduled calls, which leads to much less brain fatigue and stress.
Have you ever heard the phrase, what you want to do is something like what you want to do is end the search? And that's what we're kind of trying to do
Mm,
here, right? So
yeah,
once
exactly.
once they reach out to you and your practice, you want that to be the last call or contact. I love everything you said about online scheduling there. And the nice psychological thing about it is it allows a person to complete an action, which feels like they did something,
Right.
to bring about the help and the healing that they need, versus leaving. If you leave 5 voicemails or 10 voicemails for 10 different businesses, then you're just left with this free floating anxiety of like, I think I did a thing, but I'm not sure if I did anything.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like, I have something on my calendar, hopefully somebody that can help me. I think that's huge.
Yeah. Everyone loves to check a box.
I do. Yes. The other similar option is to use self-scheduling. So previously, we were talking about using online scheduling for that initial consultation call with you or with your intake coordinator. Some practices, a minority, yes, but like to use self-scheduling for the actual first appointment. And
Mm.
I think I've said this before, maybe even recently on the podcast, but if I was going to start a solo practice today, I would use online scheduling for the consultation call, and I would 100% use self-scheduling for first time appointments and ongoing appointments, because that just kind of streamlines the whole process. And I think it's a good idea. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. It removes a big barrier to entry because it's all on their terms. The challenge with that comes when the people that you get booking with you are not ideal clients. Maybe they're your
Right.
private pay, they want to use insurance, and you don't find out until the first session. It's like, oh my goodness, a whole hour just wasted for them and for you. So if you're going to do self-schedule for the initial appointment, I would think that having good filters in place to make sure that that person is an ideal fit would be very helpful.
Right. Some people use that first intake appointment. Well, it's always an assessment appointment, right? To figure out if this is the right fit, if the therapist
Yeah.
is going to be able to help the client. So I think that's okay. And a good therapist will either refer out or make other recommendations. I think that's okay.
Yeah. As long as they know they're going to pay for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. This makes me think about my backup hairstylist, which is a funny thing to say, but
You have a backup hairstylist?
I
I need to
do.
get me one of
Yeah.
them. Ooh.
And the backup hairstylist is Max. He's great. And he works for another company across town. And they have like a stellar online scheduling system where
Mm,
you can, as if you're a brand new, what do you call it, customer,
mm.
you can go on there and you can fully self-schedule a haircut and just choose basically choose your provider, right? Of course, I always
That's
schedule with
awesome.
Max, but I don't need to do anything except for go through their website and complete the entire thing. It's great.
That's awesome. I kind of want to know under what circumstances would you use the backup hairstylist? What has to go wrong?
Nothing's gone wrong. It's simply that my hairstylist is on vacation.
Oh, okay. Ooh, that's a good
Or
reason.
sometimes it's been like, right before I need a haircut, right before like going to a conference or getting
Mm.
headshots or something like that.
Yes, yes. All the normal reasons.
I promise you I'm not high maintenance. I promise.
We'll ask Max about that.
I know, right? Yeah. So those are a couple of solo practice solutions for you. Number one, answer the phone. Number two, use an online scheduler. Number three, consider using self-scheduling. And if you have a group practice, we have some other tips for you. Of course, our number one top tip is to hire an intake coordinator. I know you're surprised that we would say this.
I know, shocking, right?
We were talking about this earlier, Lucy, but for us, it doesn't really matter if it's someone that works in your office, if it's someone that's local remote, meaning they're like close by and they can come in a couple times a week, or if it's 100% virtual with a company like Productive Therapist. We just want therapists who are growing a group practice to take this role off of their plate and hand it to somebody to competently take that over, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Whatever is going to be best for your practice, that's what we want as well. And it could be in-house, absolutely, or local remote, like you said. It doesn't always have to be one of our amazing intake experts, but whoever you end up going with, you just got to make sure that that person is an intake expert, an intake specialist, because I can't tell you the number of discovery calls I've had with frustrated practice owners who've hired somebody who seems like a great person, and maybe they are a great person, but they're not a great intake coordinator, and the practice suffers when that process gets interrupted. So it's worth making sure that whoever you work with is an intake specialist.
I'm going to put a link in the show notes to one of our previous episodes called The 14 Qualities of a Great Intake Coordinator. That's a good one.
That was a great one.
Yeah, yeah. Because there certainly are things that you want to look for. And it's so easy to hire, the wrong person. Like you said, somebody who is probably has great experience. They're a lovely person, but at the end of the day, they're not right for that position
Yeah,
for one reason or another. And that will hurt your business.
it's a big decision.
Hire an intake coordinator. And I think some people will ask, I'm sure they've asked you, like, when is the right time, or am I ready for an intake coordinator? And of course, we have a quiz on our site that you can check out at productivetherapist.com/quiz. I'll put that in the show notes as well.
Oh, I do love a good quiz.
Right? To find out if you are ready for a virtual intake coordinator or an intake coordinator, period. But I usually like to say sooner than you think.
Yes.
Because if you're asking that question, it probably means you're a busy therapist who is answering your phone and or handling the entire intake process. And it's probably too much.
Yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that. It makes me so sad when a practice owner comes to me and they've grown the practice to 3, 4, 5 clinicians, and they're just realizing they are drowning in everything. They're drowning in doing intakes, in doing the follow-up paperwork, doing, even the basic billing on the back end. And they realize they need help. Whereas if you start your practice, if you have the luxury of being a solo practitioner at the moment, one or two of you, build systems into it. And that's one of the things the Intake Accelerator is so powerful at doing, because it helps you to create those systems from the get-go that you can then build off of as you scale the practice. But having somebody who's an expert at intakes, huge part of that.
It's like being in a sinking ship and thinking like, when should I be bailing water out of this? No.
As soon as you decide, it's sinking.
Yeah. That's probably not a great metaphor for a therapy practice. Hopefully your practice is not a sinking ship. Yeah. So hiring an intake coordinator, obviously a great idea. And the next one is using a virtual receptionist company. And I don't think a lot of practices that we've come into contact with do this. There's a handful out there that do, but some folks want live answer and they want it as close to 100% as possible. And the good news, I suppose, is that you can have that. It is somewhat costly, but it's definitely possible. And the best way to do that is to use a virtual receptionist company.
Yes.
And I've been so tempted to turn this on in the past. I just wanted to test it out for myself to see like what would actually happen to our conversion rates. And I just have never done it.
I can understand that. It's nerve-wracking because Your choices are to either have those calls go to voicemail when your intake coordinator is not working, or like you said, you can have a virtual receptionist company take care of that for you. And the virtual receptionist company is not going to do the intake for you, obviously. They're going to take the person's information, forward that to the intake coordinator for them to respond to. So you're capturing the call, but you're not actually helping the client yet. That will happen, hopefully, the next morning. But it's scary, what effect is that going to have on your intakes? Is it going to be a positive thing? Or could it potentially be a frustration for the client that they've got to do this additional step? So it is worth thinking about. But you're absolutely right. We have practices that we work with who use virtual receptionist companies, and it works for a lot of them. But it's definitely something to think about before you commit to it.
Those are good points. And I think about as a client, whether they're a new client or an existing client, whenever they call that practice, they're going to talk to a different person. So unlike my experience with my chiropractor, always talking to Nicole, it's going to be different. It'll be less personal, but still it's someone that can hopefully answer a question or help them. So yeah,
Yeah.
there's trade-offs for sure. But recommend that if live answer is super important to you, we don't actually think, here's a little secret, we don't think it's the most important thing. But if it is to you, understand. And check out some companies like Conversational and Gabbyville. And one we've come in contact with recently is called Well Received. And I'll put that link in the show notes. They're a 24/7 medical receptionist company that works with medical practices as well as mental health ones. So take a look at those.
That is a cool thing about the live answer. We don't do live answer for any of our members, and they're all thriving. The secret's there. If you want to book a discovery call, we'll tell you all about them.
We have solutions for you.
Yes.
The last one that we're going to talk about today is adding more automation. And I think that's generally a good idea. And modern mental health specific CRMs can help with this. And
Yeah.
that's, the first example that comes to my mind is the automatic text back, right? So if somebody calls your practice and they don't leave a message, you can have your phone, either your phone system or your CRM, automatically text them back and say, sorry, we missed your call. Do you have any questions we could answer? And then that person can actually text the practice, and then the intake coordinator can carry on a conversation and hopefully move them towards scheduling. That's just one example. But I think people appreciate those kinds of things. It appears to be like high touch, even though it's low. What would you call it?
Time investment.
Yes.
Something like that.
Right. So I think that's helpful. And there's a lot that current tools can do, whether, like I said, whether it's your phone system or your CRM, and in the very near future, AI tools that will be able to have full conversations with potential clients before they get booked with your practice. That's something we haven't talked about too much, but we're looking into because it's pretty powerful and it could be a game changer.
Yeah, we are shooting towards the future. That's for sure.
I know. Progress is not stopping in terms of technology and industry and changes. That's one thing that's for certain, right?
Yeah, it's exciting. It's unnerving because you don't know what pieces are going to change for you, especially in a high touch field like mental health. But it's very cool for sure. And the possibilities are very exciting.
I would say at Productive Therapist, and with me personally, I am very interested in technology and innovation. But we believe that the human connection is the most important thing. And I believe that it's the relationship between a therapist and a client that really provides the actual healing, and as well as the human intake coordinator or the person responding to the potential client that gives them a sense of relief of like, help is on the way. I have connected with someone. So I think that hopefully, fingers crossed, will never change, right?
Yeah, I would agree with that. Mental health is just, it's so personal. Like you talked about earlier, Uriah, it takes so much courage for someone to pick up the phone for the first time and call a therapy practice. You want them to feel like they're seen and heard as a human being. And maybe AI and bots will do an amazing job with that in the future. Who knows? The future is long. But yeah, it is a high touch field, and you want to make sure that they feel seen and cared for.
Definitely. So there are a few tips for solo practices and group practices. we actually have some bonus tips, but we're not going to tell you. Lucy's going to tell you about how you can get more information from us and more support on improving your intake process. Take it away.
Ooh. Oh my, this is the fancy pants close, isn't it? Okay, here we go. All right. Are you getting enough calls, but not enough new clients? Intake Accelerator will help you sign up more ideal dream clients with a beautifully streamlined intake process. This short course covers the 7 ingredients you need in place to have a conversion boosting, time saving, and money generating intake process. For more information and to get access, visit intakeaccelerator.com. How was that? Is that okay?
Fantastic.
Does that work? Okay.
Very
cool.
good.
Yay.
Well, thanks for joining me on this episode and for this whole series, Lucy. It's been a lot of fun so far, and we're not done yet.
We are not done yet, and it's been so fun. Thanks, Uriah. That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining us. If you enjoyed this episode, please leave us a review and hit the subscribe button to make sure you never miss an episode. If you're looking for more personalized help, you can reach us through productivetherapist.com. Thanks so much for listening. We are Productive Therapist, and this is the podcast that helps therapists get more done and have more fun.